I'm Em,
And I'm Lex.
and we're thrilled to welcome you to the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
Now, we're not just your hosts. We're also mamas, entrepreneurs, coaches, friends, and co-founders of the Ready, Set, Coach community.
What began as a pandemic side hustle has blossomed into a vibrant online community crafted by coaches for coaches.
So when we're not immersed in our coaching community on Circle, we're busy managing our other businesses, navigating the ups and downs of life, and of course, recording this podcast.
This is where we dive deep into epic conversations about life, business, coaching,
and everything in between.
So are you ready, Lex?
I'm set, Em.
Let's coach.
Welcome back from overseas.
Thank you, darling. I had a wonderful trip, everyone. I'm absolutely in love with London.
Did you go to the loo while you were there?
The toilet, actually.
Yes.
The toilet.
Oh, the toilet.
Definitely the toilet, not the bathroom, which, I mean, fair. It's not like okay, let's talk about this for a second. In America, right? We have bathroom, restroom. In fifth grade, my toilet, we don't really call it the toilet here.
Where's the toilet? That kind of feels rude when you say toilet.
Yeah, it's like crass.
Crass, exactly. That's the word I was gonna say.
But to be fair, do you go and rest in the bathroom? I mean, I guess someone could, but no. But do you go and take a bath at a public restroom? Generally,
Sure don't.
no. The toilet makes more sense.
It does. It does. The loo just throws me off. I don't know what's happening when people
say
loo.
There's so many words over there.
It reminds me a lot of Spain Spanish and like Mexican Spanish. The words can mean different things. Like you say apartamento in Mexican Spanish, but you say piso in Spain and it means flat. It's like translates to flat. And so it's like, you know what it means, but you wouldn't say it in that culture. And that's how I feel like British English is to
100%.
American English.
Apartments aren't apartments, they're flats. And what was another one? Can I get your autograph is what they say because I had to sign everything because we had an American card. So it's, can I get your autograph? And then that perfectly cheated me up every time to go, it'll cost you. I truly did say that line every time and had so much joy.
And they were like, wow, you deserve a special place in hell for saying that joke.
99% of them didn't even react. There was one gal at a coffee shop. I also went to Cardiff, Wales, who what'd she say back? She's like, oh, you know what? Worth it. I could pay off my flat. And I was like, girl, you speak my language. Thank you. I believe it like 5,000 times. It took you to really appreciate the humor.
I was talking to one of my clients who's an actress, and I was asking her if people ever recognize her or stop her or ask for her autograph. And she's like, I think I've had given my autograph twice, but like most people ask for pictures when they say something. And I was like, that's so true, just how different autographs have come over the years. I feel like I wouldn't, if I saw a celebrity, what would I do with someone's autograph? I would want proof that I saw this person and that I took a picture with them.
I I was on the promotions team of a company called Alpha Broadcasting in Oregon in college for a year, and they're in charge of all the different radio stations across the Portland metropolitan area. And what I got to do is go to really cool events and basically represent the radio shows. So anyways, we went to an Ellie Goulding concert. And they were giving you a picture for her to sign, and then you got a picture as well. So I feel like an autograph makes sense if you have like
totally
like the printout picture, which I have in the safe. It's like one of my cool like career moments, but I also got the picture, so it was like double win.
Wait, so you put the autograph in your safe?
Yeah. Said that out loud before.
Died.
Well, we have like a box of keepsakes. It's like a little box of like a shoebox, and I just slid it in there.
Oh my God. They're like, there's been a terrible fire, but Ellie Goulding's signature is preserved.
It's so funny. I think more so I don't lose it Because like the safe is something where, we put the things we don't want to lose even more than it is to like protect from burglars. So yeah, I got the passport, the social security, and Ellie Goulding.
Ellie Goulding. That is my favorite thing in the entire world. Gosh, I wish I'm so bummed I missed like your bridal stage of life because there's so many good stories that I could pull out. I would have given great speeches at your wedding.
Yes, you really, really, I gave people lots of ammo. I was gonna say though, some people, speaking of like charging for autographs, like my fabulous joke, it segues us perfectly, darling. It's perfectly splendid transition into what we're going to talk today, which we're going to look at what to do or what does it mean when everyone has a air quotes price objection.
Lexi. First off, I just want to say, if you didn't listen to last week's episode, I did a beautiful transition and shouted it out to you when you were abroad. So just listen to the transition for
As
that.
you should.
As I should. I've learned from the best. Price objections. So before we dig into price objections, Lex, I think first I think we should define what it is and what a price objection looks like. So I'll give an example. If you're shopping for a dress and you have a budget in mind for this special event that you're going to, and you only want to spend maybe $150 on a dress, and then you fall in love with a dress, it fits you like a glove, but then you check the price tag because you're a silly goose and you didn't check it beforehand, and it is $450. Your body and self might have a price objection. In your mind, you knew you wanted a dress, you were shopping for a dress, but that was not what you were willing to do, even though this is the dress of your dreams. So that's one example of like a real life example of a price objection. Lex, do you want to give a coaching example of a price objection?
Sure thing, you silly goose, you.
We're on one, y'all. We're on one.
Yeah, yep. They're like, when are you not?
Mhm.
You're on a call. You have a great call, okay? And you get to the price, and that's what shut it down. So they either say, I can't afford that, or they say, that's not what I'm looking to spend, or sometimes a partner isn't comfortable. But basically that it ends the sale. They place the blame on the price. So that is when we say a price objection, like it's too much, or I can't do your coaching because of the price, rather than saying timing, rather than saying it's not a fit, they highlight the cost or the price point as their why.
And they close the door, end of story. There's no wiggle room type of thing. They see your payment plan options. They see your pay in full options, and they're just like, yeah, no, that's not what we can do.
Yep.
So,
and I think we hear a lot of people come to us when they're not maybe we had an episode of what to do after a failed launch a couple weeks back. And one of the things we hear or we have heard from coaches is, well, no one's buying because of my price. Everyone says it's too expensive. So it becomes something that a coach can fixate on and blame as to why they are not selling or filling a roster.
So some solutions with price objection, Lex, I'm just coming to my mind is like, are these the right people that they're selling to? Like, are they selling to the right people if they're all having price objections?
Well, I think to that point, it's the first thing you need to do is understand if it's truly a price objection or if it's something else.
And how would you recommend people figure that out?
Through question asking, honestly, and I know that can take a little bit of balls. I think there's some amount of intuition involved, but when someone has a price objection, it's either yes, they literally can't afford it, or they don't see the value. So what we want to figure out is which one is it? Is it truly they can't afford, or are they using that as an easy excuse because they aren't placing that amount of value? So I think questions, you can go into a series of questions to identify that. You can say, if cost weren't an issue, do you think this would be a good fit? Or if this was a different price point, would you sign up? Or you can start to ask some more discovery questions if you're truly feeling like is it really like the price point that is turning people away to get to the bottom of if it's truly what is the objection at core?
And I do think a lot of people who are, when it's their first time hiring a coach, there's going to be that sticker shock, that initial sticker shock. I think I told my first coach to F herself, like when she told me how much she was. I'm positive I did actually. And she worked through my price objections and she got me to the other side. But I was so blown away by how I thought how expensive it was. And then she offered me solutions. She broke me down into more payment plans that worked for me. So it was interesting seeing how, being the person on the side of a price objection, how someone got me over the hurdle.
I want to give an example too, and Emily and I have talked about this a lot, but I think price objections can really vary too based on the type of coach you are. Because certain people, and I'm going to use
Yeah.
myself as an example, equate value differently. So for example, let's take $500. For me, a $500 business investment, I don't blink at. However, if I walk into a Coach store, I don't even know if that would be a $500 price tag.
You always go back to Coach. Do you want a Coach bag?
I don't know. I have a Coach wallet and I feel like it's fancy. I didn't buy it. It was a gift. So you go into insert really expensive store and I see a handbag that's $500 and I want to like fight people. It makes me so mad. But why? $500 is $500. So why am I not even blinking, spending it on my business? But I have $500. I look at the bag and I won't. And it's how I equate value. I don't equate a bag worth a $500 value. And that's me. So I think there is psychology involved in a little bit of understanding like what and how someone equates value. And based on the type of coach you are, you might have a little bit more hurdle than, a coach to your right. Hey everyone, Lex here.
And M.
And if you haven't heard, we did something pretty darn cool.
We sure did. We launched a completely free community built specifically for coaches.
Say it again for the people in the back.
We launched a free community for coaches. Tell them quickly who it's for and what we're doing inside, Lex.
Sure thing. So it's for anyone from the coaching curious to side hustlers to coaches ready to scale. And through the virtual platform that we've built, we've created a safe and fun space to learn, launch, grow, connect, ideate, collaborate, vent, and evolve together.
Nailed it, Lex. Now, while it's free, you must apply in order to gain a free membership. So we can make sure everyone inside is awesome, like us.
Apply today at readysetcoachcommunity.com.
And I think that's a really good example of like a tangible thing for you treating yourself. And the same can be said to your point about with business. Like, I think it can be easier for someone to invest in a business coach who is a big amount of money because they know that they're going to see or their goal and their desire and their hope is to see an ROI on their business. While say like a health coach, while they've been in terrible pain for the last 6 years, they still might not be prioritizing themselves in their health journey. And that might feel like a challenging thing to accept, unless if it was worded in a way, if you're a health coach listening, take notes, like you are giving them an ROI because you're saving them thousands of dollars down the line on health bills.
So I think that's a great point. Like beyond how we equate it value-wise, can we see the return? And how clear is that return? And how do we equate the value of that return? Because in all honesty, I also have had health price objections, but $500 in a business strategy session maybe will make me 1,000. But if I spend $500 on a coach and heals me, I mean, that's priceless. But my messed up brain still has issues with it. So there's some of us, there's some people that just aren't there yet. And that's something to our point where there's going to be an element of, once you figure out, is it truly a price objection or not? Like there's only so much you can do with some people.
Yeah, no, and I think that's true. So, you were in the situation, this person is like a dream client. So here's the question. Should you lower your prices? Like, should you make this person a hell yes, no matter the price point? Or or like, what do we do? What does someone do in this situation, Lex? What would you do?
I'm a believer that the price is the price.
Mhm.
The price is the price. I set the price for a reason. That being said, I also believe there's always asterisks in life. So for my agency, for example, I do have a pro bono client that I have. And that's an asterisk. And that is something that we had another episode recently where we were talking about you're allowed to make exceptions when you're the boss. You can always make an exception. If this is truly a perfect client and your heart is feeling called and you really do think it's a price point they can't afford, you can, like, you're the boss. You're allowed to give yourself like a an
And
asterisk.
the rules.
But
Yeah,
yeah, don't get in the habit of thinking you need to
totally.
do that for everyone, and that's the only way people will buy.
Completely agree. And I think there's so many different ways to get to the goal that you want. Like if you have a payment plan, maybe it's making the payment plan the same price as you're paying full. And so you're like waiving the extra prices for the payment plan. Or if it's a payment plan, it's extended payment plan. So instead of 4 payments, it's 6 payments. And you know that when you are taking on extended payment plans, there are risks involved. So I just want to add that caveat to it. Like there are things that can happen, people can drop off. But again, you're making it a lot easier for them to say yes, especially if they came in being like, my monthly budget was $500 and your payment plan was $975. How
Yeah.
can we get to $500?
Can we extend it? So you can definitely get creative. Let's also talk about, we kind of touched on this and how people perceive value, but also what are some indications that you might be pricing wrong? Like what are some factors to consider?
Well, I think the way that people react when you say the price is a big thing, first and foremost. If someone's like, oh yeah, that's what I was thinking when you have the price conversation versus, oh wow, that's a lot more than I anticipated. You can kind of understand by just reading people's face and body language. I do think, and this we've talked about this in other episodes, just preparing people for the costs. So if there's something on your website or something on an onboarding where it's like working one-on-one starts at, so people know what they're opting into before they get on a call. Those are the 2 things that come to my mind. Lex, what about you?
Yeah, so I think there is truth to a price point matching an audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's a dead ring winner. Is that a saying?
No, you're
No.
like mixing 3
I
of them.
don't think you are
A dead
hitting the
giveaway.
bullseye if you're
Bullseye.
charging $100,000 for your start your business class.
Correct.
It's a young entrepreneur. So I think you have to
Yes.
be mindful, and that's for a business coach. You need to be mindful of your price point and your audience. If you're a health coach and you want to charge $5,000, you need to go to a more affluent crowd. There's
Yeah.
just some realities in there. The other thing is the life cycle of how long it's going to take and what's involved to sell that client. A great example here is B2B versus B2C. I was on a call yesterday. I'm helping source a outside sales company for a client of mine, and I'm getting like all the prices of what the agencies would cost. And he's like, well, what is it, B2B or B2C? Because we have very different prices for that and a very different process. And it's so true. If you're selling a small seminar as a coach or a 6-week course, that's $1,000. Your sales cycle for that and the steps involved will typically look a lot different than if you're selling, maybe to a corporation, a $15,000
Totally.
price tag or $50,000 price tag. There's going to be different steps, different processes. So I think it's worth looking at your price point to your audience and also the process based on that audience and price point.
I think that's such a wonderful thing to point out, and that so many people they just misprice themselves to the wrong audiences. They're like, to your point, they're have corporate pricing for someone who's just starting their business, or they and that happens the most. They're like, oh, they're an entrepreneur. I'm gonna, it's gonna be $25,000 for a 4-month mentorship with me. We're going to meet once a month. You're like, no, as an entrepreneur, you're going to be needing that hand holding. You're starting a business. Like, you need to change your prices because of that. And that being said, that means you can have different prices for different audience sets. Maybe you have something that is just for the like beginning entrepreneurs, that is a sweeter price point or a lower price point. But then when they've reached a certain threshold, you have like a more accelerated offering.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, if you are going higher ticket, just keep in mind it takes more more like, and more trust. So it just might take longer. And so maybe you need to figure out other ways to nurture, other ways to qualify. That's just the reality. I would talk to anyone in B2B sales across any industry, and the sales cycle is longer. It's proven that way. So just a couple things to think about. It hurts me when people immediately run to just, okay, no one can afford it. I priced it wrong. I'm going to lower the price. When I wish it was that simple. It's not that simple. There's a lot more things to look at. Are you articulating the value properly, right? Are you truly getting across what transformation you're delivering? Who are you marketing to? Are you getting the right people on the phone, and how warm are they when they get on a phone? If they just came from an ad, or they've seen you once, they might need to be in your world a little bit more. So defaulting to price, is an easy cop out.
I 1,000% agree with that, Lex. And I'd also say timing is everything. And this goes back to our earlier episode. Like, we were looking for a very specific coach recently. And so we were on the hunt for a specific coach, and we circled a whole bunch of coaches until we found the person that we ended up choosing to work with. But similarly, when people joined Ready, Set, Coach, they might have been in our network, or they might have been in our community for a while, and the time wasn't right. They might have been eyeing us. They might not have had the confidence to commit to coaching. They might not have had the idea percolating enough, and then the timing hits. And timing is a huge factor, I think, in tackling price objections, because if it's not the right time and you're forcing like a round hole in a square peg or whatever it's called, it's not gonna fit. But when timing aligns, and this is a need that this person is actively seeking out, the price objection is typically easier to figure out.
Yeah, 100%. I also think there's things at play, like the economy, seasons of the year.
Oh yeah.
Like April, excuse my language, beep. April, right? Tax season, property taxes, like lots of money
Jesus
leaving
Christ.
people's bank. It's going to be a little bit harder sometimes to sell in theory in that month. Like, the fact is, when you're a human selling to humans, we need to factor in the human component of it all. If you're a career coach who is selling to someone who just got laid off and they're in a single income household,
Totally.
there's a reality to that. No matter how awesome you are at your job, that might be an instance where you do need to get creative. Or are you mispricing to your audience?
Yeah. And also, I love that. I think for career coaches, and this is just something that I feel like could be valuable for certain price objections, where, and I've seen this done before, and maybe this isn't for everyone, but like someone who doesn't have the income coming in, maybe they take a percentage of the job that they land. And there's like an agreement that way. Like, you take a percentage. Oh, okay, we're going to work together. It's this deposit. And then once I get you that job, and that means that person has to also get them that job. There's a guarantee in that, but they're taking 10% of what that salary is. And so they're making maybe 10K from $100,000 job.
I think there's two permissions here. There's permission to get creative and permission to say the price is the price. I do think they both come at different stages of your coaching business.
Totally.
I think Emily and I are at your price is your price point, but definitely when I was getting started, it felt better to get creative. So permission either way. Guess what? It's your business.
Yeah. And your boss says, you got this. Can you do the boss thing, Lex? I like when you do the boss thing.
What's the boss thing?
Permission. Do you want to
Oh.
take time off?
Hey, boss, can I go to London for a week? Sure, Lexi. Approved. Thanks, boss.
I think it's funny. I don't know.
Thank you. And this is why we're friends. You really like that coffee shop lady in Cardiff, Wales, who gave me a little pun back.
Oh, totally. I've got the giggles right before bed. I should just call you instead of talking to my husband. You'll probably appreciate it more. Okay, so in conclusion to this episode, Lex, homework for individuals who are struggling with price objection, who want to take their price that is probably perfectly priced and throw it out the window. The homework that I have for you, and I'm going to give homework today, and you can give homework today too, Lex, but
Go for it.
I want you to look at how you're offering it. To the point earlier, like, are you showcasing what the transformation is? Are you really highlighting like the value of this program, or are you so fixating on the price that it's paralyzing you from moving forward? So do a
Yeah,
little.
I think the auditing is perfect, right? Is it truly the price objection? Have you mismatched your audience? Are you not articulating the value correctly? Like really start to dive deep and think through that. If that feels hard to do by yourself, phone a friend, phone a coach, hop in the RSC community, ask for feedback, right? That's a great place to have others weigh in, do a little bit of market research. Can you find other people selling at this price point? Don't allow yourself to immediately resort to, okay, I have to cheapen myself.
Totally. And you are worth your price. So remember that.
Hells to the yes.
So
And
we will
on that,
see you the
next
next
time
time on the
on
Ready, Set,
Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
podcast. If you're enjoying the Ready, Set, Coach podcast, please leave a review wherever you are listening. For more information about Ready, Set, Coach, visit readysetcoachprogram.com.